Really going to enjoy this because this event, created by one of my best friends who's going to be out here soon, Ann Gottlieb, along with the Fragrance Foundation, is dedicated to informing the fragrance community with inspiring panels and engaging discussions. But before I get into the panel story a bit, I do really want to do a shout out because I'm a hardcore New Yorker and I had never been in this part of the Morgan Library. And a lot of you are hardcore like me, and I think it's absolutely magnificent. So one of the many reasons we chose the venue is that the Fragrance Foundation is aligned with the vision of the Morgan Library and Museum. The Morgan's vision, this is technically what they say, is to celebrate creativity and the imagination and the conviction that meaningful engagement with literature, music, history, and art enriches lives, opens minds, and deepens understanding. So tonight, I think we can officially say that the Fragrance Foundation adds to the Morgan's vision to celebrate the creativity and imagination of fragrances. So, a little shout out I'm going to have, and I hope they're all still sitting there. As you know, one of the Fragrance Foundation's objectives is nurturing talent. And in that pursuit, we named 2018 notables last February. That group joined the notables of the past years. There were about 3 or 4 years of them before. And now everyone together participates in a think tank that contributes to the strategy and initiatives of the Fragrance Foundation. So you're wondering why I'm going on about this, but I wanted to extend a very special welcome to our 2018 Fragrance Foundation notables who are seated right here in special reserve seats. I think some are empty, so let's see who's here. And please allow me to recognize each of you. You might be scattered about by name, and I'll ask that the audience just hold their applause until the end. So notable number 1 is Katie Bell. Is she here? Stand up, Katie. Alexandra Cassar, Carissa Salento, Cotton Condina. Where's Cotton? Okay. This is Megan. I really never knew how to say your last name before tonight. Greenhalch from Commodity. Jessica Lezinski. I can get that one. Where's Anaïs Nouvet from Cartier, one of my faves. Jordan Saxmard from Coty. And the one and only Hannah Silver from Nest. Anyway, congratulations, notables. That's your moment of fame, Hannah, baby. Okay, we're going to get back to the program now. Our panel is quite extraordinary tonight. I'm going to tell you who they are, but I do want to do a shout out to another very good friend of mine. I have a friend anniversary tonight with Gerard Kam. Gerard, it was just 1 year ago that Gerard and I met at my first Fragrance Foundation event when I had the very big privilege of interviewing Jean-Paul Agon. So, you know, you spend as much time sometimes with your colleagues as your mates, and Gerard and I, this is sort of like our wedding then tonight. Don't tell your wife. But I'm really happy we're doing this because Atelier Cologne is a fantastic brand that was really created by very creative entrepreneurs who you're going to hear a lot from tonight, and they're very special. And when something like that happens and blossoms and becomes part of a company like L'Oreal, in my opinion, in many ways, there's nothing better in the fragrance community. So this is a really exciting time for us. Plus, I really like these people, and as you all know, I only hang out with the people I like. So we're going to look forward tonight to our 2018 Hall of Fame honoree, Ann Gottlieb, who's going to moderate the discussion with the panel of Atelier Cologne founders, who are Sylvie Ganter and Christophe Cervasel. An inside joke, by the way, which is true, and I only tell the truth, is I actually interviewed for the job, do you even know this, Xavier, with Christophe for the job that Sylvie got. This is true. I only speak the truth. So as I said to Christophe when I met him at that fabulous night when Iris Rebelle was being launched, so if I got the job, would I be married to you? Okay. Anyway, we all know each other in the industry, and I'm really glad it worked out for Christophe and Sylvie because they've created something that goes beyond words, and you're going to hear about it tonight. Another great panelist tonight is the one and only Jerome Epinette from Robertet. I'm a huge fan. So in advance, I'm going to thank them for preparing for this evening. It takes a big effort, it takes a lot of coordination, and it takes the great staff of the Fragrance Foundation. So my next moment is to introduce someone. We are very lucky tonight because of Jerome and this great brand. We have a fabulous sponsor, and that's Robertet. So I'm very proud to introduce to all of you an important member of the Fragrance Foundation and a fabulous man that I've gotten to know over the last year, the one and only Robertet Group's Director of the Fragrance Division, Christophe Maubert.
Thank you, Linda, and good evening, everyone. Robertet is excited and honored to host this evening's event. Atelier Cologne is the perfect representation of quality and creativity, two values that at core of Robertet stands for. Tonight, we have the opportunity to hear about the magic, art, and passion that fuel these brands and its increasing success. I personally look forward to hearing Sylvie, Christophe, and Jerome's story about their work together. But without any further ado, I welcome to the stage the extraordinary moderator, Ann Gottlieb, and I wish you enjoy and a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, this is beautiful. It looks like it was co-sponsored by Sunkist. Really. Thank you, Christophe. So let's start. It's also terrific to be here, and thank you again for tonight. Consider the must-haves in launching a fragrance today: descriptive storytelling, authenticity, natural raw materials, a compelling ingredient story. It is these very qualities that Sylvie and Christophe intuitively understood 10 years ago, well before they were industry buzzwords, and just some of the many qualities that helped make Atelier Cologne a success. The creation of this company is about a partnership that grew both into a love story and into a successful business that was bought by L'Oreal in 2016, transitioning them from a working couple to a working couple with benefits. Sylvie grew up in Provence, always loving fragrance. She got her start in the industry at Hermès, where she developed a passion and respect for fine craftsmanship and for the beauty of raw materials. Hermès moved her to New York to assist in the strategic development of the brand in the United States, which turned out to be a life-changing move because here she met Christophe, who at the time was a perfume designer for fashion brands. She had always dreamed of launching her own brand and ultimately teamed up with Christophe to do so. Sylvie's artistry and Christophe's entrepreneurial drive meshed, and ultimately Atelier Cologne was born. Christophe Cervasel was born in Toulouse, graduated from ESCP Europe, and went on to create his first company at the age of 26. He then turned to corporate life, working for both L'Oreal and then for LVMH on the Kenzo brand, before launching Selective Beauty, a fragrance house that created perfumes for Sonia Rykiel, Benetton, and Agent Provocateur, just to name a few. But meeting Sylvie in 2006 led to their forming first a joint venture and ultimately a venture for life. In 2009, they launched Atelier Cologne, creating pure perfumes inspired by the legendary Eau de Cologne. And now to Jerome. After earning a master's degree in biochemistry, Jerome Epinette went on to train at the Grasse Institute of Perfumery. He literally grew up at Robertet, starting his career at the Paris office in 2003, and then joining the US team, launching the New York Creative Center in 2006. Of the 37 Atelier Cologne fragrances, Jerome created an impressive 26, including their newest, Pacific Lime, quite delicious, I may add, due to launch in December. He is known for his mastery of Robertet's natural ingredient palette, I can attest to that, and has been an integral part of Atelier Cologne's success. Part of the pleasure of participating in the events is the opportunity to meet the panelists and get to know them on a more intimate basis. I have found the passion and enthusiasm of Sylvie and Christophe utterly contagious, and I am sure that that has played a major role in their success. Now, I would like you to meet the three people who are largely responsible for the great success of the brand we're celebrating tonight, Atelier Cologne. Sylvie, Christophe, and Jerome, come on out. Okay, we'll start out with a question for both, but I would love this to be really a conversation about how it all started. There is no question that Atelier Cologne was in the forefront of the niche explosion with a concept that at the time and still continues to be disruptive. Would each of you please talk about your contribution to the birth of the company? Fight it out for first, go ahead.
I always start. You have to know I always start. I need to start. It's not my decision. Since 10 years, I always start. But my contribution was to ask Sylvie to marry me. So
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah. And I don't marry all the people I recruited, all the women I recruited. There are more than 300 women I recruited, so I married only one, to be clear.
And we heard tonight it was almost Linda.
I know.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was, for us, it's our life since we met and Atelier Cologne are the same. As much as we always considered Atelier Cologne as our baby, then we got a real baby that we were not expecting to have necessarily. But
we were busy enough with Atelier Cologne.
Right, this is a very intimate evening. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I think that it's difficult because when L'Oréal, we will talk, ask us, so what are you doing? What are you doing, Sylvie? What are you doing, Christophe? We said, everything, together, all the time. So it's difficult to determine. But for sure, it was Sylvie's dream and idea that I jumped in. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can.
And
please.
When it's one thing to have a dream, and it's another to make it come to life. And so I'll start with the dream. The dream was to create a brand based on Cologne, because I've only worn Cologne my entire life. Mm-hmm. But maybe like some of you, I was frustrated as a customer. I was frustrated because I felt so many Cologne on the market smell very similar, and they didn't last. And I was like, it's not possible. It's not possible that something that is so enjoyable doesn't last on the skin. And I want to be the one to show that it can be different. So that was a dream, but then, you have the fear, like, can I quit my job? What am I going to live on? How am I going to do it? And meeting Christophe was the trigger. I think he was he was a serial entrepreneur, or like born entrepreneur, I don't know how you say that. And he gave me the strength to sort of jump with my 2 feet. My head first, I don't know.
That's a perfect segue into the next question. You speak often about how you attribute your career to following your heart rather than your head, which gets a lot of us into trouble, but obviously not you, because it helped very much with your success. Talk about that.
It got me in trouble. No, the creation of the brand was also linked to our personal story. And when Christophe and I decided to become a couple, we were both married to someone else. We both had children from that wedding. And we realized we were in love. We realized that our love was going to also be the start of this brand. And when you start making such a life-changing moment and such a decision, you don't want to make any compromise. Like we did something that was not thinkable of for both of us. So we made no compromises in creating the brand. And I feel this is where our heart really, really talked. Like we made no compromise on choosing to work with Robertet, but also with Man. We made no compromise on the quality and the quantity of the raw materials. We made no compromise on the cost of good. That got me in trouble.
I bet L'Oreal's had something to do with that.
Yeah, I had some trouble with Christophe too. But then, you do things with a lot of passion, and you're like, why am I going to compromise in my job when I've already done something that I couldn't think of doing in my personal life?
It obviously served you well. You mentioned that your initial goal was to create a cologne that lasted. You spent 8 years at Hermès, whose heritage is eau de cologne. How did that impact your signature?
It's interesting because it was the first perfume I ever worn. It was not even called like eau d'orange verte at the time. It was called eau de Cologne. And I love that scent because it made me feel good. I started wearing it when I was really young. And I like to describe my mom as a typical French woman. If she could drink perfume, she would. And I sort of defined my taste by opposition to that. And to me, perfume was not about a perfume invading a space, but much more about something that made you feel comfortable, good, and that scent made me happy. It was just full of life, full of citruses, and I sort of never grew out of it.
Well, you explained to me that you created a way of looking at fragrance that allowed you to develop a citrus that lasted, that you look at the shape of it more like an hourglass. Please explain.
No, it's true. Like when you learn perfumery, you learn that every perfume is a pyramid, and you have, citrus notes on top that are very volatile, and then heart notes that are more transition, and then base notes that are there to last. And when building a typical eau de Cologne, you do the reverse. You build an inverted pyramid with a lot of citruses on top, but nothing in the base. So no wonder they don't last. First, they're volatile, and then there is nothing to support it in the base. So the idea was to really superimpose those two pyramids. So creating an hourglass with an overdose of citruses, but ingredients in the base that were meant to last on the skin, and also playing with the concentration, because there is no reason to not have a very concentrated formula when creating a cologne. So all our cologne are between 15 and 23%, which is not a typical cologne, which is why we name them Cologne Absolue. And it was sort of taking the best of the cologne world and the best of the perfume world.
They also hug the skin, but they have a lot of power. It works. It's interesting. Did you find that kind of construction challenging, or did you sort of work it out together?
I think it started quite funny at the beginning because I was mentioning that I was not a big fan of citruses. So that was,
You were not?
Yeah, for now. but at the beginning, the first meeting was like, wow, that's going to be challenging because that was not the way I was formulated and my vision of formulated fragrances. But since we got along quite well with Sylvie and Christophe, and I started to open my mind and say, okay, so you want that big citrus. It's true at the beginning, I just created for you the Bois Blanc, that is mostly woody. You have the Trèfle Pur, that is more green, woody. You have Oolong Affini, that is woody. I was not into that big citrus.
Well, whatever you did obviously worked. I think that you should hold your ears for this one. Since the beginning, you've worked essentially with two perfumers, Ralph Schweiger for Man and Jerome, who is obviously here with us tonight. Please talk about why them, with the wealth of perfumers that were out there that I'm sure would be very happy to work with you. What clicked with them?
So before choosing Jerome and Ralph, it was very much choosing Robertet and Man. For me, it was an obvious choice. I wanted to work with family houses from Grasse, where the know-how was about naturals, and they're the leaders for naturals. So it was an obvious decision. And then I met the different perfumers, told them the story of Cologne 300 years later, Cologne but not dusty, not the Cologne of your grandmother, a Cologne that lasts. And it really clicked with Ralph, and it really clicked with Jerome.
Because he didn't tell you that he doesn't like citrus.
No, well, I told him I didn't like perfume.
I kept that for myself.
The first thing I say is I'm terrified of perfume. I'm afraid of them. I think, it's very difficult. It's difficult to wear them. It's difficult to sell them. And I've only worked in perfume my entire life. But I find it terrifying. So when you say you're afraid of perfume and he tells you I don't really like citruses, then you can do something interesting.
We always call Jerome and Ralph the godfathers
Oh,
of Atelier Cologne.
I can understand that.
I think since the beginning, and because we are from the south of France and we have Italian roots, the whole story Atelier Cologne is a family business story. And so if we are the mothers and the father, we needed the godfathers.
I don't have any.
Not exactly like in the movie.
I don't have Italian roots. So.
In talking to you about the business and where it's evolved, how it's evolved, you talked about it being a family. Say some more about that.
Yeah, I think that I'm not a person of compromise at all. And I learned coming here in America and spending a lot of time with Sylvie here, how important it is sometimes to make some good compromise, what I call the good compromise. And I know in my family it has always been like that. There is a lot of discussion, a lot of fights, but always with a lot of love. And in the end, what we have been always using as a rule with Sylvie is whatever we do, creation of a scent, a decision on the blue color of Atelier Cologne, and opening a boutique in Nolita rather than on the Upper East Side, which we're doing now, is always finding the good compromise. The compromise where nobody feels that he or she is losing anything. And I think this is our concept of a family. With our children, we talk a lot and we treat them very often like real persons. They can say what they want, even if in the end we decide. But we listen to them and we try with them to find the perfect compromise. And we're still doing that today within L'Oréal. And we like this openness to it.
Now, you just sort of glossed over the shop on the Upper East Side. I think you should talk a little bit more about this exciting new entity in your life.
So 2 years ago, we entered the L'Oréal family, which entered as well the Atelier Cologne family. So even if we are very small, they're very big, today we always have tried to put in place a very human relationship. It's very important for me to mention that with Sylvie, we had the chance, you don't always have that chance when you create a company, to be able to choose who would sell our brand to. And we had a lot of bidders, and we choose L'Oréal for many reasons. One of them is their extraordinary, I think, cosmopolitan culture. They're French, we are French, so we like that, but it's a very French way, I would say. It's what I would call the cosmopolitan French. It's a new type of people. Less rude than the French, more open, etc. They can speak a little bit English, as you get a little bit.
You're digging yourself out now.
Thank you.
So, Jerome, you've worked with Sylvie and Christophe on 26 fragrances. Do you ever come to them with a concept rather than Sylvie and Christophe saying, this is what we would like to do?
Exactly. That's why I do love so much working for Sylvie and Christophe, is that open-minded freedom that, of course, Sylvie will come and say, okay, so I would like you to work on a jasmine. Oh, okay, that's very challenging. That was actually very challenging. That was not the only one.
8 years.
But as we mentioned before, coming from Robertet, I have access to those beautiful natural ingredients, and sometimes I can start a creation based on the one ingredient. If I can take, for example, just the Sichuan pepper, for me that was one of the key ingredients of the jasmin angélique that we ended up after a couple of years of hard work. So what I do like is that it's like a two-way street. It's not Sylvie coming at me, I want that, and after I will come to her and I say, why don't we do like an espresso or something like that? Just that close collaboration, that's friendship. It's
Well, I'm
awesome.
sure it was born out of trust, because obviously after all this work and all this success, you have a terrific understanding of
I see
each other.
Jerome every other week, every 2 weeks. So we usually see each other twice a month. I also see Ralph twice a month. And we never put Jerome and Ralph in competition. So if we have an idea for something, it's more like, how do we want to tell the story of that ingredient? And Jerome's style of writing is very different from Ralph. So depending on what we want to create, we only brief, but we don't really brief, we only talk to one perfumer, and it takes the time it takes. So there is no mandate of like, we're launching this new fragrance in 2 years, and it has to be about this specific citrus coming from this specific region. It never works like that. We work on IDs, we work on, because we have several collections, we are free to have more citruses, more rare ingredients, more musk, depending on where it's going to fit in the brand. But we never have a set timing in place. We never have a set cost of goods guideline on ingredients that we choose. The things that are important is always to start from a beautiful raw material and to express it in a way that it has never been expressed before, and always fresh, always with a lot of transparency.
And using ingredients that you don't necessarily specify a cost, how does that result in the retail prices of your fragrances?
So we've always retailed our perfume based on how much it costs. So when we launched our brand, there were 5 Cologne Absolue. The 5 of them had different concentration and different price points. And the retailers were like, not possible. It's the same bottle. They have to have the same price. And we told them, like, what about wine? Like, all the wine's bottles are the same, and do you expect them to retail for the same price? No, like, we price them according to what's inside. And that has served us well because customer understood something concentrated at 20% was, a very specific type of neroli is going to cost more than blood orange, where we use the peel when everybody else is using it for the juice.
Sure.
I think that what has made, I don't know if you can call it a success because the word success is dangerous, but what has helped us to grow in a good way is that we always, before launching and even after launching a Cologne Absolue, we always had the strength to face the reality of the reaction of the customer. And we have always been doing that. We still love to do that. It's not that we do it because we think it's necessary, it's that we love it. So whether we worked on a jasmine or on the Rose Anonyme or Clementine, California, all the aspects of the product, the bottle, the color, the name, the scent, and the price, we have been personally, with Sylvie, somehow testing the reaction of the customer on all the continents since 10 years. And we just love to do that. And so with our godfathers and with this, I think, love for the customer, I think what you end up with is a brand that really grows. Not only is adding new product, but is technically, I think, growing his personality, sensibility, the knowledge of the customer.
Also, that contributes to the authenticity of it because it's such a great, an obvious story to be able to talk about that. It sounds like you really are basing it on what you're claiming to do.
It's interesting because spending a lot of time with customer, like when we launched in the US with Neiman Marcus. For 1 year, we were exclusive to Bergdorf and Neiman, and we were in their stores all the time, training the team, spending time with the customer, meeting the journalists, the influencers, and really be physically behind the counter. And we learned so much. We learned that by explaining the ingredients, but not just the ingredients, where they were coming from, what was the concentration, telling them, how natural some of our scents were. You get them sort of in the kitchen with you. Like, you connect with them because you tell them, like, what the love that you've put in the bottle and sort of like the magic recipe. And it's not like, oh no, like, we're never going to share with you what inside. It's a big secret. We're like, no, like, we want to tell you how we do this. And that connection has served us really, really well.
Obviously it has. A couple more questions about working together. What have been problems? Where have you had where it's gone not so smoothly? Is there a project that was especially difficult?
No, everything is smooth, everything is perfect.
You promised to be honest.
Yes. The tuberose.
Oui.
The tuberose was kind of hard work, very challenging, because we were coming off the Jasmine Angélique. I was in that fresh, beautiful, fresh floral category, so we didn't want to do the same, and we were struggling with that. And like me with the citrus, you have a hard time with flowers, especially the white flowers. So that tuberose was real challenge.
So the coffee saved us.
Yeah, it's kind of, but that's what, it's a mutual discussion between Sylvie and I. It's like, okay, we stop for a second and we say, okay, so where are we now? So we are like stuck with that tuberose and we need something. We need a hook. And all of a sudden I came with the idea of adding that coffee that was working proactively, as I was mentioning before. It's like the two-way street. It's not only Sylvie coming with a specific idea, it's also me bringing a new idea. So we share your request of the tuberose and my proactive work on the espresso, and the blend of the two were like fantastic, and we had that beautiful elegance of the tuberose on top of like a warm espresso accord. And we know we ended up with Café Tuberosa, and we know what happened at the Fragrance Foundation Award.
So I see that you're talking just to the two of you. Where are you in all of
I'm the bad guy.
right?
You need a bad guy.
No, but we need him more in the back
Yeah.
because, sorry to tell you that, but I spend more time with your wife than you.
You are the only guy that I like my wife to spend time with.
Yeah.
So do you get involved in the smelling of
Yeah, or
Oh, yes.
each of
You
them,
do,
of course.
you do.
Each of them, but more. It's hard to describe, but I must like the scent for sure. But I try because it can look very presumptuous. I try to give my opinion to Sylvie and Jerome and Ralph on is it something that match the Atelier Cologne style? Is it something that is really different, innovative? When our customer will smell it, they will say, oh my God, I've never smelled that. And third, will it sell? So I think this is what you need to achieve. Be yourself, be different, surprise, and in the end, convince a large number of customers. And I try to do that, but never forcing anything. But sometimes we fight and we stop working on the scent, or we cancel some creation on which Jerome has been spending a lot of time. But we must feel it, you know. To create Atelier Cologne, we've been through so many different challenges and difficult ones, like selling our 2 apartments to create a company, and having 5 children, and technically being bankrupt personally. Okay, so we were in that situation. So when you do that, it's not to make compromise, bad compromise, as Sylvie said. So I try to play that role, which is not always easy, but it fits my personality as well. So
Talk about what you discussed inside about the fragrance that one of you wanted and the other one didn't, and what happened.
So I'll tell the story, but I explain the rule first. So the rule between the two of us, it's not who does what. It's almost like in a family, there is a mom and a dad, and who does what between the mom and the dad. Like, you know, you raise your children and you do the best you can.
yeah, who does what between the mom and the dad is, I think, for all the people has a different meaning. But
But for us, we both cook, we both clean, we both, you know, do homeworks. But we have to agree. We have to agree on what we're doing. And I never tell Christophe, oh, you chose that scent, so now it's my turn to choose a scent. Like, it's, we have to both like it and be convinced that it's going to work for all the reasons that Christophe mentioned. Aside from the creative process can be really fun, but then if we feel it's not creative enough, it's not Atelier Cologne enough, and it's not going to sell, chances are it's not going to come to life. But I'll take the example of Orange Sanguine, which we didn't do with Jerome, but it was one of our very first creation.
And your favorite, right?
Yeah, the citrus is fantastic.
And Christophe, every time he was smelling Orange Sanguine, he would tell me, way too citrus. Like, it's like a caricature of a cologne. Like, you cannot do that. Nobody wants to smell like an orange. Every time he would give me all the reason not to launch it. And every time I would present it again, convinced that it could do something really good in the range. And one day I tricked Christophe. I was like, you know, every time you smell this perfume, your mouth says no, but you close your eyes, and before saying no, you smile. Every single time. And so if every customer that smells Orange Sanguine smiles, even if they don't like it, like, we put them in a good mood, like we're doing something good for them. So that's how I got Orange Sanguine to go.
And
when I am convinced,
how has
it
it done?
sells.
How has it done?
Yeah,
It has been our bestseller for almost 10 years, but we have a new bestseller in the family. So now 2 neck and neck.
How long does it usually take before the two of them say, it's finished, I love it?
It's all depends of Christophe, I would say.
No.
You said you are the bad guy, so I just...
It depends.
It really
Very variable.
depends. It can be very...
From 2 to 6 years. But the jasmine, I love it.
Right.
You know, the jasmine is the only Cologne Absolue that both of us
Yeah.
fight on. Like we.
I'm wearing it tonight.
No, come on.
I know.
Me
I know.
too. So
So
it's very variable. What is good is that we never rush it. And we do, of course, always respect, like in a family, what Jerome is telling us. So it's not like, I think this is, for us, this has been the magical formula. To a lot of respect, a lot of love.
well, there is another thing that's also been very magical. Both of you have talked to me separately about your focus on your relationship with your ultimate consumer as being a part of your success. Talk about the special relationship.
You want to start this time?
Lots of time in store. Like we just love being in our boutiques. I'm lucky to live across the street from our Elizabeth Street location when I'm in New York. So I'm in that store a lot. I meet customer every time I'm in the store. But it's not just this one. Like I would say the same about all our atelier, but also department stores. Like we love events, and not even events, like we're on the floor. We love to sell, we love to interact, we love to share our passion for what we do and connecting with customer we're wearing them. Like for me, one of the most incredible opening we had was the one in Toronto, where 100% of the team that worked in the store were employees from Sephora that we trained many years before, fell in love with perfume, and we know perfume is not the category that they love the most. They fell in love with perfume, and they ended up working for us because they're passionate about our brand, and meeting customer in our own boutique that had been customer for years because they discovered the brand through other retailer, and being able to feel how they connect with our scent, and they describe our scent with words that are so similar to words that we feel when we smell our scent, and you're like, oh my God, like it's almost like creating another language. Like, you know, it's not French or English, it's like perfume language.
Works well. And you had a terrific story about how you connected with consumers.
Yeah, it's. I think I feel very connected to your story because I grew up in Burgundy, if you're interested for that. And my mom had perfume store, and as soon as I was done with school, I was always going back to the store. So I was spending so much time in the store, homeworks, eating, playing soccer. She didn't like that much, but I was in the store all the time. And few times a year when the store was getting very busy, she was asking me, okay, so now you're gonna help me and sell fragrances. So I started from that, but the first thing I did was really listening to her. She had so much passion about the perfumes, and the way she was describing the perfume was like very fascinating for me. I could just watch her and be amazed by the speech and the conviction that she had. It was for me, I can still see her with me right now. And so I learned a lot. I think the passion and all the relationship she was trying to build with the client, the same that you are saying, that you love to be in your store and be in contact with your consumer. That's for me, that was her vision, and I think she put between her knowledge and her passion, she put that inside me. And that helped me a lot right now, and to be in your store and be very natural. And I do love when we have a smelling session in your store.
We involve customers sometimes if it's the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Many brands, especially niche brands, have a signature color that helps customers identify them in stores, bags, products. Frederic Malle red, Ex Nihilo blue, and of course Hermes is orange. What is the significance of your teal color?
So that was one of the biggest fights with Sylvie. It started easy, like, okay, what should be? It's when we opened the first store of Atelier Cologne, that was in New York in 2011, and we had to decide how to paint the storefront. And it started easy, like it will be blue, because we love blue. Then which blue? That was a nightmare. So we ended up with a bad compromise on the gray blue that I called gray blue, and Sylvie was calling it something else. And, but chic blue, gray blue. So that was a bad compromise. I didn't really like it, and Sylvie could see it. But we were this close from painting the storefront like that. And then we go to Venice, where my family is from. My name is from Venice in Italy. It's an Italian name. That's your name now as well. And just walking by the canal, the Grand Canale, we saw the gondola. And there is a blue fabric on the gondola. And when this blue fabric is brand new, this is the color of Atelier Cologne. So we call it the Venetian blue. And it was the first time Sylvie was going to Venice, not for work, for more like a love weekend. And
That was it.
so I asked her, I said, what about that? And she said, I like it. I said, me too. Deal. So and we love this blue, and but it's true that even with that blue, we had a hard time at the beginning because it's so different that not all our retail partners liked it, but little by little, they really learn how to like it.
Great color.
And when, again, we always refer to the customer because we could see we could see the reaction of the customer looking at our shop, and women, men from America, Asia, Europe saying, oh, that's a nice color, you know. So when you actually listen to your customer and you see that so many people love the color, you say, okay, I'm not crazy. It's not the two of us only. Like the Cologne, it's not only the two of us who like Cologne. So.
It's beautiful. Now let's talk a little bit about L'Oreal. I know that L'Oreal uses a library approach to fragrance development, taking fragrances from an established collection and tailoring them for a specific brand or project. First of all, how do you feel about this method of developing fragrances, and would you ever consider following that path?
So we're lucky to still be able to create perfume the way we've always created. And I feel that the heart of our brand is about our olfactive signature. So the way we create the perfume, and we talked about the hourglass, but we talked also about the concentration, the amount of citruses, all the criteria for what qualifies as a natural perfume for us. All of that is sort of tailor-made. So I've been to meetings, to smell things from the library, and it's beautiful and it's creative, and you happen to smell a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I don't know how an Atelier Cologne creation can be coming from the outside. It's very much a creation from scratch and built to be a Cologne Absolue around a single ingredient that we distort, that we show in a different light, and that we brighten with citruses. So I don't feel the process applied to a brand where the scent is like such as at the center for us.
But as I said before, for us, L'Oreal is a few individuals that we really like to work with. And when we discuss about Atelier Cologne, when we have our creative marketing meeting in Paris, we are like 8, 10 maximum. And the respect L'Oreal, or the few people that we work with, have for Atelier Cologne is amazing. I want to say that. It's an amazing respect. I hope this is still something from the French culture. We don't have many things, but I think the love for the other culture is something that is in the French DNA. So even in the process, L'Oreal was the only group that wanted to buy us, that put in the due diligence process a person from the laboratory, Marie-Hélène Beausoleil. So the name is fantastic. And we like that. We like the fact that they are really try to understand what we do, and then it's like in a couple, we need to find a good way to live together every day. It's not always easy, like in a couple, but we hear and it's going well. And again, there is a tremendous respect for what we've been doing, tremendous respect for the entrepreneur, and so we are free today. Otherwise, we would not be here anymore.
Of course.
We have no obligation to stay, so we are here because we like it.
Well, the acquisition obviously has had a lot of benefits, financial benefits also, but how's it benefited the two of you personally?
I can share a funny story about the brand. Like we we always were very proud to say like, oh, like, you know, when an ingredient exists in nature, we're going to put it in its natural form in the perfume. So of course our orange is real orange, and we would mention where it was coming from, same from the jasmine. And when we were in that process with L'Oréal of due diligence, and they were studying us, and usually they study more the financial books and, you know, the sales and the bottom line and how much money is in the bank, and they also studied our formula. And I remember meeting with the team, and they were like, you know, your perfume are very natural. And we're like, yeah, we know, and we put natural ingredients, and they were very insisting. And at one point, Marie-Hélène was saying, like, your perfume are so natural, you're stupid not to talk about it. And that was a big learning, and I feel from working with them, we've sort of been able to put, like, how natural we were. Like, we're claiming now up to 95% natural on the scent. And our intention was never to create a natural brand. We wanted to create a genuine brand, an authentic brand, but they've showed us sides or facets of our brand that we didn't even express
Well,
fully.
absolutely.
So that was a great learning.
Very timely as well.
And for me, that's another aspect. Another aspect, it's really and I'm very glad, because that's what I had in mind, the capacity to really express our brand on any market, with at the same time staying true to ourselves, staying true to the brand, but at the same time really use the communication and the cultural codes of the country. So of course, China is the best example. Today we are.
Talk about that, because you have had such an amazing experience.
We had been crazy enough to open Atelier Cologne China in 2013.
In Hong Kong, correct, right?
Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong and Shanghai.
And
So
Shanghai.
a company in Hong Kong and one in Shanghai. We were losing a lot of money, but we learned a lot. But when we started to work with the L'Oréal, Hong Kong and China and Korea subsidiaries, it has been a tremendous accelerator. And today I feel we are really so well positioned on this market, but without doing anything opportunistic.
Yes,
like we are just true to ourselves.
They love
and the
your
Chinese customer, they
kind of
love
things, yeah.
what Atelier Cologne
Sure.
is, and this is fantastic. And I feel every day, even if we don't speak Chinese, we understand them more and more. And as we have been doing with the American and the European culture, we are little by little, like a powder, integrating in our product development and in our strategy the comments or the opinion, I don't know how to call it, the influence of the Chinese customer. And Atelier Cologne has been what it is because we integrated the influence of the American and European customer, and now I'm glad to be able to integrate. Really, I want to use this powder image, because we're not going to change what we are for the Chinese customer, but we are integrating, and I think this is fantastic.
And there's going to be another boutique in Beijing.
Every 3 months there is a new boutique in China,
Yeah.
and they are crazy,
It's
but
very exciting.
it's fantastic.
And is this a strategy that you work out in concert with L'Oréal?
Yeah, completely,
Uh-huh.
completely, step by step, on every decision we are part of it. So it's great.
Let's talk now a bit about Sephora, which has given you a really wonderful start. You entered Sephora in 2012, which was certainly then a milestone for your success, and it's done very well. I know that you are in their full distribution, available in every store. Given the choice, would you alter that distribution pattern?
So first of all, Atelier Cologne was conceived as a department store and own retail brand. Okay, so we started with Bergdorf and Marcus and Galeries Lafayette in Paris, and today we work with Nordstrom and we feel so well in a department store environment. But you need to look at the evolution of the market, and our daughter, who is 15 today, is shopping a lot at Sephora. So you need to look at that. And the fact is that we were lucky that Sephora USA came to our store in New York, and that they just liked us and they asked us to present the brand to them in San Francisco. So the story went well from that point of view. Again, a lot of respect. So we felt a lot of respect from Sephora, that was already a giant 5 years ago, for Atelier Cologne. And this is why, and still today, we feel that. So then, like in a couple, you need to make some compromise. Today, not to be in the full distribution would make things so hard, and we wouldn't be part of some marketing initiatives which we think are very interesting, very qualitative from a customer point of view. So like in a couple, you need to find the right path, but we have always had so much respect from Sephora for our brand. And again, otherwise, we would not be in, otherwise we would get out, because as you understand, we don't do compromise.
Part of your success is also in the incredible training that you give the people who work for you, who are really apostles for you to the brand. How does that work in Sephora when...
Do you have Jared in the room? Yes. I think when you create with a lot of passion, then it's sort of easy to convey that passion to another individual. So it starts with what we call our perfume artists. We take time to educate our team, and whether you're on the sales floor or in a marketing office or in finance, we're going to spend a lot of time sharing with you how we've created our brand, how we've created every product. And that sort of passion becomes contagious. Then you want to share it. And I think that one of the reasons Sephora was very interested in bringing our brand to their environment was not only to launch a new brand, but to educate their cast member to perfume. It was not their preferred category. Makeup is so much more fun. It's like, before and after, very lively. You can play, and it's something that is easier to relate. Skincare is very much about science and technology, and also, you see the result. Perfume is very emotional. How do you convey emotion? Well, you have to convey emotion through passion, through something that is authentic and genuine and real, where you have a point of view, you're not afraid to express it, you're not afraid to be different. And how many times did we have negative comments about Cologne, it's perfume for men, and it's more cheap perfume for men. Well, for us, no, it's a citrus-based scent, and ours are different, and they last. And so sharing that passion with the cast, I think, has been a tremendous part of the success, and we have very talented perfume artists who love our brand the same way we love the brand, and would just convey the message.
Well, we're running out of time. So what does the future look like?
What is the future like? Continuing to put lots of joy in bottle. I think perfume has this amazing ability to lift your mood, to make you feel good. To us, it's something we wear for ourselves, to feel good, to feel happy, and we want to continue putting that in a bottle, just making the world a very happy place.
Also, it is, again, something that you discovered very early. Your fragrances are for people to enjoy and feel good about. It's not really they're not for other people. And
if some get close enough, they can enjoy it.
I'm sorry?
If some get close enough, they
Yes,
can
of course. Yeah, of course. But also it gives confidence because people enjoy it for themselves. So thank you very much.
Merci.
Really, it has been a wonderful evening. And this is it. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Wow, that was a wow. Thank you, Anne, Sylvie, Christophe, and Jerome. For me, it's so exciting to hear things that you've never heard before, to get to know people personally, and to learn how a family of a mother, father, and godfather get along with their new extended family in the front row. But it was really fabulous. So one more time, thank you very much. And I also want to say, because we got together as a little group downtown, and we talked about what are we going to talk about. And nothing tonight was prearranged, and we didn't memorize scripts. Anne really has a way of bringing out the funsy part of everyone in a very creative way. So Anne, as always, you're the moderator extraordinaire. Thank you very much. Truly are. We always end on time, so you can count on me. No one can get up. Sit down in your seats, please. I want to thank Robertet again. I mean, I sat with them on this side of the room, and it's so much fun to hear the people who live with you all the time enjoy. It's almost like sitting in your living room and hearing, you know, your best friends talk about something. So I think we all really earned a lot. But before we say goodbye, you know, I have to do my little Fragrance Foundation commercial. Our next great event, and every event is very different, and tonight was special in its own way, but just in case you think we're bored at the foundation, just next week, it's November 1st on Thursday, and we're going to be having our Circle of Champions event, where we will be honoring Kate Oldham of Saks Fifth Avenue. It takes place just on West 57th, a hop, skip, and a jump to another beautiful location. We've had a lot of enthusiasm for this event. I know a lot of you will be there, but I want to still encourage everyone because we do have a few opportunities and seats and a couple of tables left. Also, as you look forward to next year, it seems like, is it possibly almost 2019? We will, in February again, introduce the next class of notables. So I mentioned that to you tonight because anyone who is a member of the Fragrance Foundation can nominate a notable, and you all have a lot to do besides thinking about me. So please remember that next week is the due date for all those nominations. We want to make sure that you get your nominations in. And if that wasn't enough, fill in your calendar. We'll be sending a lot of communication. The number, I didn't know you had Italian in you before tonight. Cinque is the theme of 2019. On April 5, we will have our finalist luncheon on Park Avenue again, and on June 5, we will have our awards at a very large venue in Lincoln Center. But I'll be torturing you with a lot of reminders on that. Last but not least, I want to also let you know that education is very important in our community, and you can learn more about our educational programs, which are the Fragrance Academy, and our stars are in the audience tonight from Sankiem Sen, so please do a little research, get on the website and see what we could do. So now you're just about ready to go back into the outside world again, and you have to make our mission a reality. So tonight together, how I stop every night, get out there and inspire the world to discover the artistry and passion of fragrance. And thank you very much for coming.